Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive Protected. My name is Eric. In today's episode, we are going to be answering ChatGPT's top 10 questions surrounding paint protection film. I don't know what these questions are. My buddy Coleton, out of Spec Detailing, we're here at his shop in northern Colorado. He is behind the camera and he's going to be asking me the questions while I install our Defense Plus matte paint protection film on the lower hatch of this 2026 Lucid Gravity Dream Edition. We are transforming it in our matte paint protection film. This is one of the final panels that we have left to install, and I just thought, hey, while we're doing this installation, let's see what ChatGPT has to say about paint protection film, and let's answer some questions.
All right, Eric, ready for the first question here?
Let's do it.
Why do some PPF jobs fail early, and what actually causes edge lift?
Lack of post heating or edge prep by the installers. Before you get into a paint protection film installation, you need to make sure your surface is properly prepped. That way the paint protection film has got perfectly clean paint to bond to. And then once the installation is done, you got to go over all those edges with a heat gun, make sure that they're properly sealed off and that there's no fingers lifting. That is, in my opinion, 99% of the time why you will see paint protection film jobs lifting over time.
Love it. Next question, how much does installer technique matter compared to the brand of film?
Compared to the brand of film? Wow, I don't think the brand of film matters at all. It ultimately is going to come down to the installer. I've always thought that you take the cheapest, crappiest film off of eBay or Amazon, and you put it in the hands of the best paint protection film installers in the world, they'll still make it look good. Therefore, if you give somebody who has no experience, no training, no knowledge, no videos, no nothing on what they can do to learn how to install paint protection film, it doesn't matter how good the film is, it's just gonna pop.
Totally agree. Well, this is a perfect one, Eric, because you're doing a bulk install. Chat asks, how precise are PPF patterns, and when do you actually need bulk installs?
Wow. In my time installing PPF, and I've been installing PPF professionally since 2018. Depending on which software you're using, some PPF patterns can be really, really good and really accurate. But I still find that no matter the company, the software company, they're still going to have patterns that are not going to work very good. And you'll find that a lot of professional paint protection film installers, they oftentimes end up editing patterns to make it suitable for them in their shop that they're working in. A lot of the times these patterns that are created, whether it's Expel, whether it's Core, whether it's Film and Vinyl Designs, a lot of these companies, the patterns are just enough to cover the film, but nothing for like crazy coverage. A vehicle like this Lucid Gravity, because we're doing a full matte paint protection film transformation, I would rather just bulk it, because then, for example, just like this, I can go crazy and get almost 100% coverage, and I can eliminate a lot of seams, a lot of relief cuts, and that type of thing.
Next question here that pertains to orange peel.
Why
does PPF sometimes show texture or orange peel, and how can you avoid it?
In my opinion, from what I've kind of gathered with dealing with manufacturers, is a lot of orange peel is going to come in the manufacturing process. Some films will have less orange peel, some films will have more. But if you're solely talking about the orange peel that you may get from an installation, that may just come from poor installation. Not having enough slip solution underneath the film. If I stretch this film across the vehicle and there's some dry spots underneath the film, that's going to create a bit of like a ripple effect in the adhesive, and over time, or not even over time, by the time that installation is done, it's going to have that orange peel look in the finish. It might be protected and it might be on there, but it's still not going to look that great. And that's going to be your orange peel that I think that's the orange peel that they're referring to.
I would agree. I would also say that beyond, just orange peel in general, it's going to kind of mimic the amount of orange peel on the actual vehicle as well.
It'll
if you have
enhance it, yeah.
super heavy texture on a certain type of vehicle versus one with relatively flat paint, that's also going to change the overall look of it at the end. And then you'll also have some differences between actual manufacturers of PPF in general.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Next question, how does a master installer decide what panels are the hardest to wrap and why?
Well, that's a very fitting question given the panel that I'm installing right now.
Also, I just have to say this, ChatGPT says, for example, Porsche bumpers, Tesla Model 3 and Y pillars, Supra front bumper, anything with big compounds. Are Tesla 3 and Y pillars really that hard to do, Eric?
A-pillars?
Yeah.
No, they're about as close to flat as you can possibly get.
All right. Interesting
All right.
question,
I guess
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT still has got some work to do.
Yep.
Before it's absolutely perfect. Sorry, what was the question again? Completely forgot about that.
How does a master installer decide what panels are the hardest to wrap and why?
Well, we'll use this lucid gravity for example. This whole vehicle, I've never had a chance to work on. And when I'm looking at a vehicle, like when I came down here, I was just watching videos online, or I was just looking at photos online of the lucid gravity to kind of mentally prepare myself. But once I actually came down here and looked at the vehicle, I realized, okay, the hood's not that bad. I thought the hood was going to be quite complex. But I came around here and I'm like, this rear hatch is going to be the most complex because we're doing it bulk, we're not using a pattern, and we're doing it in matte film, we're not using clear film. Clear film, we could get away with a lot more intense relief cuts over here. Like we could come down a little bit further and round it out a little bit. And you know, some cutting softwares might even have a relief cut over here. I'm not sure. I've just seen some pretty crazy relief cuts in my time using cutting softwares. But this is the kind of panel that I just looked at and I was just like, okay, look at how, number one, how big this panel is. Number two, it's curved 5 different ways. And we have to stretch the film like crazy just so I can make a relief cut and get the film to kind of fall into place. So this is the kind of panel I'm doing at the end, I am literally doing it at the end of my installation just because of how complex it is. So I want to use the other panels just to take and kind of mentally prepare myself, warm myself up for this one. Nice.
Okay, Eric, next question.
Yep.
What is proper maintenance and what mistakes ruin PPF faster than anything?
Ooh, that's a good question. Proper maintenance is knowing how to properly wash your vehicle after getting paint protection film, and whether that's with your frequency or coming down to how you wash it. Do you go through automatic car wash? Do you do a wand wash? Are you the kind of person that loves to take your Saturday mornings and do a full two bucket wash method to make sure that you can scratch that itch of being a weekend detailer? It's all going to come down to like how far away from the edges are you staying with your pressure washer. You know, when you've got paint protection film on there, as thick as this film is and as aggressive as the adhesive is, you take a 2000 psi pressure washer and you go 1 inch away from the film, it doesn't matter how good the film is, you're still going to ruin it. So you need to make sure that your pressure washer angles are properly angled and that you're far enough back. And then when you have paint protection film, like for example, I'm from Canada, so we live in a very miserable cold climate 9 months out of the year. So we can get away with not washing our vehicle as often just because of the temperatures. But if you're somewhere in the south where it's, you know, 70, 80, 90 degrees, if not hotter for a good chunk of the year, and you have paint protection film on your vehicle, all those bug guts, bird droppings, tree sap, that type of stuff, it's going to bake into the film. So you're going to have to actually be more diligent with how often you're washing it. It's not something that you can just wash, or it's not something that you can just get installed onto your vehicle and never have to worry about doing any kind of maintenance on it.
This is a question I really like. Are thicker films always better?
That's a good question. It depends on the kind of vehicle, the panel, what the vehicle is going to be used for. Is it a track car? Is it a car that you love to take care of, that you want to keep looking as close to brand new as possible? And how complex the vehicle is. For example, where we're at in southern Manitoba, Canada, we have a lot of farmers out there that they don't like the standard 8 mil thick PPF. They would rather get the 10 mil thick PPF installed. But when it comes time for us to do that, we only recommend doing it on the front bumper or in front of the rear wheels or the rocker panels. The stuff that's the least amount, that has the least amount of contours and curves to the panel. For example, this vehicle, I would never want to install a 10 mil or thicker PPF on it because it's like trying to get cardboard to conform to the shape of the vehicle. So, but I know a lot of people that track their cars, they'll take and they'll just get some like tearaway PPF. Some of it's super thick and they just literally slap it on for however long they're at the track and then they peel it off. So that's a good way. Then it really doesn't matter how thick the film is, that type of thing.
This is a fun one, Eric. How do installers fix failed/contaminated panels without redoing the whole job?
Wow. Well, depends what their definition of fail is.
I think maybe just talk more about contamination. Let's say you get a dog hair in there. Let's say you get a piece of dust in there.
Yep.
How do you fix that without just ripping the entire panel off and starting over?
Well, you could use, depending on where it is in the panel, like let's say I find a dog hair right here. There's a few things you can do. It depends how soon you catch it. If I catch it right now in the installation, I have no problem peeling this film back. Like I just literally got to grab it, pull it back, and I more than likely, depending, like you want to make sure your hands are super clean, but you could go in there and you could pick it out, or you could use a tweezer and that type of thing. If I come back in 12 hours and I see that there's a dog hair here, I would probably be like, it's right behind the license plate bracket. You could leave it. Depends on the customer. Depends on whether or not it's going to drive you nuts. For myself personally, that would drive me nuts. So at that time, you could take a steamer, some boiling hot water, and you could slowly peel the film back, work it back, and get the tweezers and pull it out. And you would have no problem reinstalling it. There's a good chance you'd be left with some lift lines everywhere. Again, that would be behind the license plate bracket. I would rather have lift lines there than dog hair. So, you know, it's up to you whether or not you want to live with it or if you want to bring it up to the customer's attention. You don't want the customer to point it out. You want to get that figured out. Like, the last thing you want is a customer pointing that out because then you look bad. But let's say it's out the door, customer's taking delivery of their vehicle, they come back a week later, they find a hair in the middle of the hood. At that point, you got to redo that hood. If it's right close to the edge, like an inch away from the edge, number one, you should have never missed that during your post heating, during that super important step that a lot of people neglect. But yeah, if it's right close to the edge, you could try and get it out, but more often than not, that's a panel redo, and you shouldn't be charging your customer for that. That should be on you, because you shouldn't have missed that.
Getting down to the wire here, Eric, 2 left. Why does PPF discolor or get blotchy in rare cases?
Wow, that's a good question. And I don't know if I have the correct answer for that, but I do know that where you live, how you treat the vehicle, how often you wash the vehicle, will play a big part in it. If you live, like where I'm from in Canada, like I don't find PPF to yellow that quickly. I wash my vehicle 3-4 times a month minimum. And even when I get contamination on there, bug guts, bird droppings, tree sap, I'm really quick to take that stuff off. If you're in a really hot climate, you let that stuff bake on there. Honestly, I don't think the PPF is going to last 10 years. It's going to come up to you to make sure that you are educating your customer on these things. So in my opinion, that's going to be why PPF could turn yellow or blotchy over time. If the blotchiness, I don't think PPF is, when PPF turns yellow, I don't ever hear of it turning yellow in just a 6-inch circle in the middle of the hood. It's usually consistent across the whole panel. So if it's blotchy in certain pattern or certain parts of the panel, in my mind, that tells me that there's something that's gotten onto the film that wasn't taken off.
I also think, just want to add this in here, that can be down to install as well. Overstretching the film, burning the adhesive underneath, you can get some marks in there and cause some of that blotchiness, if you will, as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Eric, I've saved the last question for the best question, in my opinion.
Oh, best for last.
Best for last. What should customers look for in an installer?
Number one, go have a look at their personal vehicle. I think that's like the ultimate test is, do they have the product on their vehicle that they're trying to sell you? Or is their vehicle a beater? Like, I get it, everybody's in a different financial situation. Some people can't afford to have a new car or a newer car, but if you're in this line of work, in this industry, you need to be able to sell your product. You should have your product on your vehicle. It should be out there. It should be the best quality work you've ever done. I have my vehicles wrapped, my wife's vehicles wrapped, my staff have their vehicles wrapped. I always make sure of it. And if somebody wants to come and see, can you rephrase the question? What was the beginning of the question?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing is, what should customers look for when selecting a PPF installer? What are some things, I guess, you could look out for? So seeing if their car is having their own product on it. I would also say looking at the facility they're working out of.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Make sure that the product that you're interested in buying, the business that you're visiting, has that product on their vehicle. And then yeah, you could ask, hey, can I have a look around your shop, see where you do the work? You know, if it's the kind of shop where you just have a ton of garbage everywhere and you've got someone doing a paint correction right next to someone doing a paint protection film installation, and they're just spitting polished dust and residue over at the vehicle. And then in the next bay over, you got some guy doing window tint, and then you got one person doing ceramic coating with the windows open, with the doors open because it's a hot summer day. You're probably not going to get the best quality work done. A little bit of garbage in the shop is completely fine. As you can see, we've got some PPF that's lying over here. That's literally come from the last couple days of me doing this Lucid, but there's no polishing going on. There's no other jobs going on in this area. And ultimately, the facility's got to be clean. It's got to be a good representation of what that business stands for.